Hello YouTube, it's Jack here from JDRC Network, and today I'm going to do a quick overview of some of the upgrades that I made to my Axial scx10. If I sound tired, don't worry about that. It's because it's 3:19 in the morning. I can't sleep, so I decided to make a video for you guys. So we're going to start off by taking off the body clips. And speaking about body clips, don't know if you can tell, but there's a new body on it. Since the last time I made a video about it. Some things on the body are externally painted seats and stuff. That way it gives it supposedly more of a matte finish, but it didn't work out too well on that because it just glossed over anyways. But the inside, in my opinion, and on camera real quick, this looks pink, it's actually red. I don't know if it's going to show in the video very well. But the inside I think looks very nice with the way that I had the these parts go down like that. Anyways, so the inside's black, the outside's red. That's actually red. And the light bar is a Vanquish Products rigid light bar, which is surprisingly bright for what it is. And I guess that's kind of given basically since it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 lights on it, which is a little ridiculous, but it works, and I'm not really going to complain about it because it's pretty awesome. Now coming over to the front here, I'm going to move my own lamp so you guys can see a little bit better. Coming over to the front, we have a new worn winch. Well, it's not new anymore, but it's a worn winch, and it has the standard little clip that normally comes with it, the hook. We have a steel and aluminum bumper. The roll bar part is steel and this part is aluminum, so it's actually very heavy even though most of it's aluminum, but it gives a lot of good weight to the front, and I have an earbud thing stuck in there for some reason. Anyways, so I really like this bumper, and it perfectly matches the shape of the body. I think it's nice, and if you roll over, it doesn't mess up the body right here because it just lands on the bar. As you can see, it's a little scratched up, but yeah, it lands on the bar and then the roll cage, and then it doesn't mess up the body, which I think is a cool little feature. It's not really a feature, it's just the way it is made. Now if I remove these, and I have, as you can see on the bottom, it's just red, there's nothing else on it except a little bit of aluminum tape so it doesn't break through the body. I'll just set that on my chair over here. Let's see what else we got. We have a Tekin FXR right here. It's just the standard FXR. Move the light again. And it's a mess of wiring, but it's just to keep it out of the way while I don't have it being used right now, because I'm going to make a video later on another car that I have that's over there. It has a, what's the name of this one? It is a SR300 WP, or waterproof receiver, and using the waterproofing technique that I saw DJ Medic from the RC Spark Studios do, I waterproofed my ESC, and that's actually worked out really well for me. Also, I'm using a NIM battery instead of a LiPo. Most people use LiPo for the extra power, but if you get these in water, it's no big deal. Just make sure you dry it off. And I'm thinking about plasti dipping just the ends. That way it actually is waterproof. What else do I see on here? Oh, I have an upgraded transmission housing. It's aluminum only because last one I did, a gear broke and it shattered part of it, and I don't know what happened, but it messed up the housing somehow. What else? I put a heatsink on here, and since I recently built a new computer, I had a little leftover thermal paste from putting the CPU cooler on, and I decided, that's a little silver stuff in there, on the edge there, since it's non-conductive, I decided I'll put that in between the heatsink and the motor and see if it gets better cooling, and it should. I'm not sure if it will, but it should. But yeah, I thought that was a cool little thing. If you want to try it, I'm not saying it works or anything, but if you want to try it, that could be a little project. If somebody wants to do like testing with like actual graphs and numbers and stuff like that. I don't have the time to do that, so I'm not going to. But there's other stuff that I have on here that I'll talk to you about, like the drive shafts. They're MIP since the other one's twisted, front and rear. They're really nice drive shafts, and I used a dry silicone lubricant in it. I don't know if you call it lubricant, but it makes it smooth and there's no rust or whatever. But it works great for what it is. And I actually really highly recommend these because they're strong, they're steel, and they're guaranteed to fit on the car that you buy. Buy them for, like, this was the kit for the Axial scx10, and it fits, which I thought was kind of nice. Now on mine, my old with the old drive shafts, it had pins that went straight through the little shaft in the center. On these it doesn't have that, but it has screws on both sides, so it basically acts as the same thing. It's just not technically as strong. Another thing that I have on here is this JR battery tray, which I think is a great little upgrade because I don't like the battery in the rear here. It puts too much stress on the rear, or it puts too much weight at the rear, which makes your car want to tip over when it's going like that. So I decided to move it up front originally, like Axial had it normally, where it would go across like that, but then the weight would be too high up. So, because I also needed places to mount my electronics, I got the JR plate, and I can put like a servo winch in here if I wanted to, but I don't need to because I have a normal one. But it also moves the battery sideways over the chassis, surprisingly low, which is really nice because it puts the weight down low and up front, which is what you need. I took the motor covers off because it just got in the way when I was adjusting stuff. And yeah, so that's it for the transmission part here. I don't think I have any other upgrades there. And that's it for this front part and all that. Now moving on to like the servo. I made in an earlier video that I had the Panhard kit right here, but my issue was I had a link moving from the servo up here to this side, and that's not good because when you do that, what happens is you get a crap ton of bump steer, which is really bad when you're trying to drive at all, because that means whenever this moves up and down, the wheels start to twist like that just a little bit, but it's still noticeable. So I went on eBay and picked up a spare link. That way it could fit across this way instead. And many people have suggested in my video of the other one where I said I wouldn't recommend the Panhard mount because of the bump steer issues. I completely take that back. It's just my stupidity being new to RC. So I actually do highly recommend it. It's really nice, and it keeps the servo up off of the chassis. Now another thing is, I broke my C-hubs, or no, my knuckles, or whatever these ones are, the ones that are in aluminum. So I upgraded these to the aluminum ones, which are great. Their tolerances aren't as high as the plastic, but they work for what I need them to, and it just runs great as it is. And I think that's it for the steering. Oh, the servo, and this is one I may need your guys' help with. It's a Savox SW0231 Metal Gear waterproof servo. And what happens is, it's turning, even though it's not plugged in. When I try to turn the car like this, it's very hard to turn it. But it sounds smooth, so I don't think it's rust or anything. But if you guys have any suggestions on how to make that better, I would greatly appreciate that. So that's what I have for the steering. Now moving on to the wheels. I showed these in another video. These are KMC, I think, Enduro wheels that I got from Vanquish Products. And they're great wheels. As you can see, they're not scratched up yet, which I find kind of interesting since I thought I would scratch them up fairly quickly. But they're seated in enough that the tire kind of protects it a little bit. And they stand up to rocks and stuff really well. I also think that these screws on the outside have protected it somewhat, because you really can't see the scratches on the screws, but you would be able to easily see it on the black, which there are none, so that's good. I have those front and rear, both sides. And I think I'm using the 600 offset hubs, which are, in my opinion, perfect for this because it gives it a little bit wider stance for side hailing. And it just makes the car seem a lot more stable. Speaking of wheels, I have the Super Swampers. They're TSL Super Swampers, and I forgot who makes these ones, but they're incredibly scale because they have all this stuff on there. Like it says tubeless, it has stuff like max load, blah 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 blah. I don't know what that says, it's too small, but it's that detailed that it has like the tire pressures and stuff on it. It has the sizing, which is the actual sizing of this, which I find funny because it actually is 1.75 by 4.75 by 1.9, which is the size of the wheel here. So they're actually using the real dimensions of this tire as you see it at this moment, not of the tire that these are trying to imitate. And leading up from the wheels and the axles, we have the suspension, which are King shocks. They're actually really nice. They're still filled with oil, and I've been having this sit out for maybe half a year because I've been trying to focus more on school than RC, and I've also been spending my money on this PC. So I set this car aside for a while, trying to get all that set up with viruses and stupid shit from computers. But the shocks, they're working really nice for me. And they're a little dirty, but it still runs fine. And as you can see, there's dirt in there and stuff. It just works. So I like those shocks a lot. What else? What other upgrades do I have? Oh, I have an aluminum rear bumper on here also, and it's really nice because I like their mounting system because you can slide it in and out depending on which body you have. It has the same thing up front. And besides that, I think that's it on the chassis. Oh, I also have these little rock sliders that I picked up from RC 4-wheel drive. They're great, they're strong, and they're basically so solid that you really can't even bend them. So I like those. I don't think there's anything else on the top of the car to look at, so we're going to flip this over and talk about some stuff on the bottom. So, as most of you who know Axial cars may notice, this is not a standard skid plate. This is a Delrin skid plate that I got off of eBay again for I think 35 bucks. But you can also get it, I think, at RC 4-wheel drive. But I'm not sure if they're discontinuing them or not because they were old or something like that. It's an Lcg skid plate, so it lowers the motor and transmission. And I really like it because since it's made out of Delrin, it slides over the rocks a little bit better than catching on it like the axles do. So, yeah, if you can get these anymore, I would still recommend buying those. Another thing that's on here that I upgraded to is full aluminum links. I got these off of eBay. Just look up Axial scx10 links and you might find them. They're fairly cheap for what they are, but they come with the Traxxas Revo rod ends, and they're really thick aluminum. I think it's like 8 millimeters, so they're really durable. And as you can see, they get scratched up, or I don't know if you can see that. They get scratched up, but it's not as bad as you might think on like anodized ones, because these aren't anodized. This is just raw aluminum, so it doesn't show as much. And I actually really like that because scratches and stuff bug me, and I know it's kind of stupid. If you're in the hobby, you have to get used to scratches and stuff. That just comes with the hobby. But if I can maintain stuff, it's better than having it scratched up. But it's not noticeable, so I really like that. And another thing that I would personally recommend if you're going to do this, most people say not to do this, but I really don't see a reason not to. The wires coming from my motor out to here go straight into a Dean's plug, and then they go into an ESC. The reason why I would recommend doing that is, first of all, Dean's plugs are meant to handle a lot of power, and it doesn't work if you have a brushless motor, but it does work if you have brushed. And what happens is, say you burn out a motor on the trail, instead of having to try to desolder it, you just unplug it and plug in another motor that has the Dean's plugs on it. So I personally would recommend that. But if you're not going to be doing that, then it's fine to do it the other way. It's just, this is the way I like doing it. And I think that concludes the new update for the Axial scx10 that I have. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, you know what to do there. If you have any questions or comments you want to post in the comment section below. Subscribe if you want to see more videos on my cars and other RC related stuff. And I will see you all in the next one.